My name is Shelby Wilson, and I'm the okayest mom. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about flying on planes with toddlers. I did a lot of research before I put my child on a 3.5-hour flight to South Lake Tahoe to visit family. And these are some of the things that worked for me, some of the things that didn't necessarily work for me, some of the advice that I was given, and some advice that I would like to give to you. I hope you'll find it helpful. I packed this bag right here. It's a big kind of crossbody bag, and this was my carry-on bag. It was my purse, and it had everything in it that I brought to keep Shepherd entertained for the flight. So in this bag, I have his favorite blanket, a pair of headphones to go with his iPad. This is something I don't think I would have thought of without asking friends for advice. You don't want to be blaring their shows on the plane for all to hear, nursery rhymes over and over again for the duration of the flight. So this is one of those things I don't think I would have thought of. I got these for like 20 bucks at Best Buy. And honestly, the first flight out there, he didn't want anything to do with them. But on the flight back, he wore them for about 30 minutes and watched his shows happily. So I would recommend at least giving these a shot and maybe giving your toddler some experience with them before they get on the plane. Another cool thing that I put in my bag was this little snack tray. I got this idea from my friend Lauren, who is on Instagram as The Realist Dietitian, I think her name is. I got this bead box from Hobby Lobby for just a couple bucks. You know, you can get anything for like 40% off there. And the clasps open up right here. And there are separate compartments for his snacks. So Shepherd really enjoyed this. He enjoyed picking out his snacks, and this kept him entertained for a good while. I had Teddy Grahams, Cheerios, Goldfish, fruit bar, you know, like a Nutri-Grain bar, crackers, and freeze-dried fruit. And that was definitely recommended. He really enjoyed that. And those are snacks that he doesn't typically get, so it was fun and exciting for him to have those. Another thing I packed was, I just found like this little Paw Patrol sticker book. We did this page, mostly Justin and I did this page, and Shepherd watched. I'd say, you know, take it or leave it. He doesn't really love stickers anyway. And then I packed a couple of books. I packed a book he loves, which, can we talk about this? This book. I mean, he loves this book, and it is the most anticlimactic book I've ever read, but that's beside the point. A book he loves, and I also packed a new book. So something that he could read, or that we could read to him, and something new that he hadn't seen before. And those kept him entertained for a few minutes as well. Another thing in here, he loves fans. He's obsessed with fans. So I found one of these little fans that you can just push the button and spin. And on one of the flights, he played with this thing for several minutes. And I'm telling you, every minute of entertainment is worth 1,000 minutes of freedom. Obviously diapers and wipes, you wanna have extras. Make sure you pack those in there. And then some dum-dums, some suckers. I also packed some of those for the ascension and descension to help with his ears, and some hand wipes because those suckers are sticky and they get all over everything. Some hand wipes, or you can just use baby wipes to clean up messes. I also wish that I would have packed like a little plastic bag in here so I could have thrown away trash, banana peels, things like that. I picked up a banana at the airport, and we also had his sippy cup, and we filled this up with chocolate milk. He had never had chocolate milk before. Justin found some in the airport and we poured chocolate milk in here and he was extremely happy about that. So that, I believe, that is everything that I packed in my bag. If you can, if you're renting a car, see if the car rental place will provide a child seat for you. That's what we did, so we didn't have to carry our child seat around and lug that with us or even pay to have it checked. We checked the stroller through security and we took it all the way up into the plane, and before I boarded the plane I had them check the stroller underneath, which is free, so you don't have to pay for that. And board the plane last. If you have kids, you know, sometimes you see families boarding first and that might work for some families, but for us, I would advise that you board the plane very last, because you don't need to be on that plane any longer than you have to be. So I carried all the bags in the stroller and I got settled onto the plane and enjoyed a little downtime before Justin and Shepherd boarded the plane very last. And that also gave me ample amount of time to warn everybody around us that there was a child coming and that we are sorry in advance for what could possibly happen in the near future. So here's how our experience went. The flight out there was earlier in the morning. So he woke up, we had breakfast, we stayed at the airport, we stayed in a hotel at the airport, so we didn't have to wake him up any earlier than he needed to be up. He was in a great mood, loving the airport, and then by the time we finally got on the plane and took off, it was running into his nap time. And we kept him pretty entertained there for the first, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. And after that, things rapidly spiraled out of control. He lost it. He was not just crying and sad, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. And we were doing everything we could. We were turning on his favorite shows on the iPad, we downloaded the Wi-Fi, we were on YouTube, we were eating candy, we were doing snacks. Nothing worked. Thank God I was sitting next to a woman who completely understood and was doing everything she could to make sure that we, that we knew that she was okay with the situation. There was a point when I stood up with Shepherd and stood in the aisle and turned around, and we were at the very front of the plane, so we got bulkhead seating for the extra space. And that was a blessing too, another recommendation, so that he's not kicking the back of seats, he's just kicking the wall dividing you between first class and regular class. Sorry, first class on American Airlines. But yeah, we had the bulkhead seating, and I stood up and I just faced the main cabin and I just said, you need to look everyone in the eyes and apologize. And that actually made people laugh and kind of softened the mood. And then I took him back into the restroom to change his diaper and kind of get a change of scenery. And there was a line, and not only was it 4,000 degrees at the front of the plane and extremely nice and cool back there, we kind of hung out in the back of the plane for a little while because our air conditioning wasn't working, and that really didn't help matters much. But anyway, I was waiting in line in the back of the plane to get into the restroom, and the woman going in before me and I were talking, and she was seated in the back of the plane, the very back, and she was like, it's okay, you're doing the best you can, and we've all been there. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, this woman is in the very back of the plane and she knows this, it's us. She knows who we are. I don't think I've ever been on a flight where I was like, that woman and that baby, I know who they are, and I'm gonna talk to them, and I'm in the back of the plane. Oh, it was bad, y'all. So anyway, she was talking to me, and then I said, I don't even know how I'm gonna change his diaper in this restroom. Like, what do I even do? And she told me there was a changing table that you can pull down from the wall. And guys, if she hadn't have told me that, I probably would have been like sitting on the toilet, changing him in my lap or something. I don't even know what I would have done. But for tall people in those little bathrooms, you need all the help you can get anyway. And just wanted to let you know, there is a changing table that pulls out from above the toilet. So anyway, I changed his diaper. We got a change of scenery. went back to the front, and he continued to cry and scream, and it was tough. And finally, you know, he calmed down as we were starting to descend. And I tell you what, as soon as the plane's wheels hit the runway, he was like barely awake. He was starting to fall asleep right when we landed, of course. So we got off the plane. I was waiting on the stroller, and you know how you have to wait to get things that have been checked under the plane right there in the jetway. What's that called? Yeah, the jetway. So anyway, I was standing right outside the plane door waiting for my stroller, and everyone who got off the plane, they were looking at me with just pity in their eyes. Everyone on that plane knew who we were. I'm not even kidding. And so many people took the opportunity to just say, hey, it's okay. You did your best. We've all been there. And it was like, I was just standing there looking at everyone apologetically, and they were encouraging me. So many people encouraged me, and not one single person verbalized any negative feelings, although I'm sure they thought them in their heads. When I say everyone on that plane knew who we were, I'm not kidding. We were in the middle of Lake Tahoe on a boat, and there were two girls on a jet ski, and they flagged us down and said, hey, how do we get to Emerald Bay? Do y'all know how to get there? And we said, oh yeah, you just go around this curve, you're almost there, it's like a 10-minute drive. And one of the girls on the jet ski goes, hey, I know you, you were on my flight. She, out of all the people in the middle of Lake Tahoe, she recognized us. Small world. She was nice about it though. And then when we got on our return flight, the flight attendant recognized us and said, welcome back. She was probably very excited to see us. So the return flight, we made sure that Shepherd had a nap, a good 2-hour nap before he got on the flight. It just worked out better that way with our flight time. So we woke him up a little early in the morning, put him to bed a little early the night before, and got him a good solid 2-hour nap. And I think that was a game changer for our flight out there. He was screaming as we were going through security because he wanted to get down and walk. He wanted to ride the escalators up and down. So he was screaming about that in the airport. But once we got on the plane, he was so much better. Maybe he just remembered, like, okay, this is a place where I can't get up and run around, just like in a car, I have to stay here. And he got fussy from time to time, but we were on top of it. We were bringing out new toys, you know, the dum-dums, the iPad, he wore the headphones, he watched his shows. The flight back was, it was a dream compared to the flight out there. And so we ended on a high note. I'll even say, in the baggage line, whenever we were waiting for our baggage to come off of the carousel, the couple next to us said, is he always that good on flights? And I said, no, he's not. Some of the advice I got was really great, you know, on the snacks, bring lots of snacks, bring headphones, you know, iPad obviously. One piece of advice I got, I wish I hadn't gotten. It was an actual video footage of a mom with her child on a plane who was screaming. And my friend said, don't be that mom. I wanted to feel sorry for this mom, but look, she's clearly not doing anything to reprimand her child. And I watched that video, and the mom was just like holding the child, and the child was kicking and screaming, and the mom was just holding her, you know, trying to restrain a crazy person basically. And guys, I was that mom on my flight. My worst nightmare came true. And that was advice coming from someone who doesn't have children. And there are going to be people on the plane who don't have children and don't fully understand what you're going through. So if worst comes to worst, you know, just know, yes, people are going to be put out, and they might be taking secret videos of you and posting them on Instagram. Don't worry about it. The best piece of advice I got from many of my friends, shout out to Leanne Price, was just try not to give a poop emoji about what other people think and how you're getting your babies through that flight. That advice stayed in my mind the whole time, and it really helped me to just say, you know what? We're getting through this flight. We are going to visit family. These relationships are extremely important to me, and this is worth it. And if I can't control what anybody behind me thinks or how they feel or if they're disrupted or upset. And that's that. All I can control is how I feel, and I'm going to choose to not give a poop emoji about how they feel. And that worked really well for me, guys. And that's just great advice for life with a toddler. You do you and what works best for you and get through it. And don't hold back on traveling just because it could go wrong. I've had the horror story and I've had the dream flight. So, you never know which way it's gonna go, but that doesn't mean that you should avoid it altogether. I say take the trip, go, smile, and give yourself a little bit of grace. And if you're ever on the other side of that situation and you're seeing parents struggle with a child on a plane, man, try to be those people who gave me those words of encouragement and said, look, we've all been there. So many people on that plane could have been thinking, I would give anything to go back to that point of my life because now my kids are older and they're grown and they're out of the house and they don't want to travel with me or whatever it is. So give yourself some grace and don't give a poop emoji about what other people think. Take the trip. You're doing okay.